mean, for the last 4 days, 16, 17, and 18 have played exactly, collectively, aggregately, even par. Spot on. And the wins, I think we could say, have been favorable. They haven't really hurt the players at 16, haven't hurt them at 17, and if anything, they've helped them at 18. But tomorrow, it will be a decidedly different game. It will certainly help them at 16, but it will be the absolute toughest conditions you can imagine at 17 and 18. I've looked at the charts. Wind gust to 31 miles per hour tomorrow morning, Paul.
You think 17 is going to be a good test tomorrow? You think it's a good hole all of a sudden?
I think it's going to be brutal.
It's taken you 3 years to come to that conclusion.
I never said it was going to be a great test. It's going to be great drama.
Is it going to be exciting?
It'll be great drama. I think I would have said that years ago when I was
Is it going to require a lot of skill to play it into that wind and a lot of guile? Is that the question you want in the playoff? And does that hole ask that question more than any other hole in golf?
No. No. I mean, there's so much luck involved in that shot.
You think?
There's so much luck in that shot.
By the way, while you guys are arguing,
absolutely.
you haven't even welcomed our guest into our business. What are you doing here? Come on.
I can take a hint. Okay.
I mean, what do you think of this championship?
I thought it was tremendous. Great drama. You know, 3 players who, you know, represent something different. Rory is this great player who's still improving, and it's wonderful to see those incremental small improvements actually are what got him over today. As Paul was alluding to earlier, you know, these are small margins, but he didn't have his great driving game. But he has other stuff now. He has more, and he was able to do it just enough. He got a little defensive there, a little, you know, starting, I think, at 13, he pushed it out a little bit, and then 14, you know, kind of a bailout drive, and then 15 misses the 6-footer. So, sure, he could have locked it up, but he did come back, you know, 16, 17, 18. 17 and 18, good shots.
I'll ask you the question that these two you sort of bandied about in the previous segment. How important do you think tomorrow is for Rory? I think we all know how big it would be for J.J. Spaun. How important do you think it is for Rory?
I agree. That putt on 18 was really important. Beyond that, I don't think it's a, you know, crusher if he loses tomorrow, because sudden death can be so random. I think how he plays is important. I mean, if he just, you know, makes a terrible mistake and loses it. But I think if he just plays well, he proved a lot this week, I think, in terms of being able to play without his best stuff, without the best driver. That's something that I think gives him confidence going to these majors. He doesn't have to peak. He just got to be Rory McIlroy and not push it, because he's got so much game that actually is in reserve that he's started to access when it matters most now. So I just thought today was, you know, sort of the education of a golfer. I mean, he's 35, almost 36 years old. He's a mature player now. And it's been a long time coming. I would say he's been a slow maturer. You know, J.J. Spaun is maturing. Akshay, man, he was impressive. He reminded me of Skinny Tiger, like 18 years old, just on attack all the time. And I remember something, or reading something, obviously, that Ben Hogan said about Jack Nicklaus' 1960 Open at Cherry Hills. He said, I played with a kid today that should have won by 10 shots. And you could almost see the way Akshay hit it that well. I thought he outplayed everybody, really, tee to green. And it was really on attack that was, you know, just a different sound. He was really flushing it.
He was good. I'm curious, what do you guys think of the 3-hole aggregate playoff as a way to determine a champion?
I can't imagine a better scenario. Those are arguably the most exciting 3 holes in golf. So much can go on there. We've already detailed that with Ricky Fowler. But over the course of the week, you know, the better than most putt, the Freddie Couples Eagles, the way people have played 18, Hal Sutton, be the right club today. You know, you put all that together and throw it in a playoff with the #1 player in the world. So stars and stories, underdog stories resonate, superstar stories resonate. I just want to get back real quick. As you said, you don't think a loss would hurt Rory, but do you think a win would change his frame of mind in a substantive way?
Yes, I do. No, I think because then he goes in, you know, he goes into the Masters with you know, a little something in the bank. And I mean, a Players is not a major yet, and maybe in the future it'll be considered one. But the point being, yes, he wants that Grand Slam, but I think winning the Players is really significant.
And he'd be the earliest to 2 wins in his career.
Yeah. I just think he's got to be very proud of himself. Now, let's hope that he takes it and uses it. Now, if he goes to the Masters and plays poorly, then I think he loses some confidence about really what's it going to take here, because, you know, here I've got this wonderful mindset and I still didn't use it. I think then you're talking about somebody who's maybe a little blocked specifically on the Masters. But there's really no reason that he can't go in there relaxed for the first time, I think, in a while.
I think it's important for Rory to sort of change this narrative We've talked about it on this set for years now, that he doesn't rattle cages. He doesn't beat the guys. And I understand the random nature. There's no knock on J.J. Spaun. He's a high-level pro. But he doesn't beat the guys he should beat. And he has to turn that narrative around. Had the chance 2022 at the Old Course St. Andrews. Didn't do it. Had a chance in Los Angeles, U.S. Open in 23. Didn't do it. Just hit some sloppy shots down the stretch. Pinehurst didn't do it. He has to turn that around at some point. If he's going to be the truly great, legendary player that we think he is ultimately going to become.
You know, again, you can spin it the other way as well, too. You know, he's won more tournaments than anybody else in this era.
All that's true.
You know, you look at how he won in Dubai at our season championship at the end of November last year. That was really important psychologically for him. Don't know if you saw it or not. I was on the call for Sky over there, and it was the same thing. He ran into a lead with about 9, 12 holes to go and then stalled. And as he stalled, everybody caught up on him again. He said, oh, my God, he's going to lose it again. And then he came strong, and he finished strong. He birdied 16, and he hit an unbelievable great shot into 17, and then birdied 18 to win by 2 in the end. And then he dominated when he got in front again in Pebble Beach. So sometimes the prism that we look with Rory is a negative one based on, well, he's let this slip, he's let that slip. I mean, Jack has been second how many times in the majors?
Yeah, but he didn't let him slip.
Well, he did some. I mean, the one against Watson he did when he missed a short putt.
Watson took it away from
17.
him, you'd say. Yeah, he did miss that
Yeah,
putt.
he missed a short putt.
I think the great players close, and Rory's not an elite closer. I don't think. I know he's won 27 times, but if he had been an elite closer, he'd probably have 8 majors.
What I'm getting
Yeah.
at. Yeah. But I know a couple of years ago you thought he wasn't entirely polished. We had that conversation. You didn't think he was a great all-around player, great talent, explosive power, all of that. But I sense your change.
I think he's changed
your
his
thought
perspective. Now. I think that's what he's proudest of. And when he said it today himself, he's more complete. He needed to get more complete. I think for a while he thought, I'm just got to be the best driver and dominate and overpower these courses, and that's going to be good enough. And it probably was when he was a young man. But as you get up in class and the rest of the field start to catch up and get better, and I think he took a real education from Scotty Scheffler, from playing with Scotty, because Scotty is complete, except perhaps a slight weakness with the putter through the bag. That's the only one. He's just a guy that Rory should model himself after. Yeah. If Rory was as complete as Scotty, he'd probably be the best player in the world.
I always look at this as the third chapter of Rory's career, 2007 to 2014. I mean, it was like the line of demarcation was when he injured himself in 2015.
Yeah.
I mean, that Open Championship at St. Andrews was his to win or lose. He would have been so demonstrably the favorite going into that. And so you look at the last 10 years where he hasn't won a major championship, but he's done everything else. And now then I just look at the way he's, I think, filled in the gaps in his game.
Yeah.
He's still the longest in the game when he's at his best. He still drives the ball as well as he has or ever has or better. His iron play is coming back around. He's filled in the gaps with his putting. It's beautiful. And as we saw this week, he can scramble his way to the top of the leaderboard.
Real quick, I mean, I think closing is really not about overpowering and dominating. It's about making fewer mistakes. Yeah. Tiger closed by not making mistakes.
And you did say of a person who's won 27 times that you don't think he's a good closer. I did hear that correctly.
Yeah.
I did hear that.
In the biggest moments, I mean, relative to his ability and where he stands in history, if you matched him against equivalent players, I don't think he would rate among the better closers among those guys. And that's not, okay. It's not a knock. He's got plenty of time, and he's getting better at it. And tomorrow will help. And if he ever does it at the Masters, it'll end that conversation. Yeah. But until then.
But there are a number of players that, well, Arnie had his run.
But he had some issues closing as well. I mean, they're similar in that, they have, fans, at a point of hope and then heartbreak. That's the appeal, I think, of Rory.
Arnold kind of lost his putting.
Yeah.
Drove it a little bit wild. None of that's true of Rory.
Arnie had some spectacular closes, though, early that kind of made his whole name. And Rory hasn't quite had that. When he's won, he's just been the best. But at the end...
How often have you seen a player completely change the way they were viewed? There was Watson early as a choker.
Sure.
And then he became a closer.
Mm-hmm.
Rory, early on, was somebody who just blew everybody's doors off.
There have been a few. I mean, Ray Floyd was a guy who supposedly was, not buttoned up, didn't care. And then he became like the ultimate competitor. So it does happen as people, Payne Stewart,